everybody. My name is Nick Champeau. I'm coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee. Put together some video lessons this week, and this one that we're watching right now, we'll be covering chord transitions. This is a beginning guitar lesson, beginning intermediate, and if you have any trouble moving between two chords, we're going to be looking at a sequence of exercises that help you develop some techniques to make playing songs with chords, chord transitions, and strumming a whole lot easier. So let's get started. Okay, let's look at the chords that we're going to be using for these exercises. The first one is E minor. If you recall what the string names are, we've got E, A, D, G, B, and E. We're going to put our middle finger, also known as our second finger, on the second fret, 0, 1, 2, right there, and then our ring finger, our third finger, on the first, second fret of the D string, right next to it. Now I'm going to create a nice arch, as you can see, right? My fingers are curled so that I don't touch any extra strings, getting any extraneous noise or interference with the other strings. Just like that. And I strum all 6 notes to get an E minor chord. The other chord that we're going to be using is very similar to E minor. What we're going to do is lift both of these fingers as a singular unit, right? Traveling together up and over one set of strings. So instead of my middle finger being on the A string, second fret, I'm moving it over to the D string, second fret. And my ring finger, my third finger, is going to be on the second fret of the G string. And instead of strumming the low E string, I'm going to omit that one and strum the rest of them. A string down. So here are 2 chords. A pretty simple transition, right? Just moving each finger over one string. It's really quite easy. So the trick to getting comfortable with this is just to start without any use of the right hand. Just moving both fingers, lifting and landing at the same time. Right, just like that. So I'm going to go 1 and lift, land, 1 and lift, land. Really trying to make sure I'm only touching the strings that I'm pressing down. My fingers are nice and curled. Yeah, just like that. And once that starts to get comfortable, then we're going to add in the right hand, like this. I'm going to play a downstroke. And then I'm going to lift my fingers. It's kind of hard to see from that angle, but if you look from here, look at that. I'm doing an upstroke as I lift my fingers. That's a cool angle right there. Look at that. Like that. So I'm going to go down, up, and then on the next downstroke, land my fingers on the A add 9 chord. So E minor, up and lift, A add 9. And to do that backwards, I'm just going to start at A add 9, down, lift, down. As you can see, I'm lifting my fingers at the same time and landing them. This chord transition between E minor and A add 9 is pretty simple, but the principles apply to every chord change. There are other approaches, but this is a really useful one. We'll talk about how we can adapt it for any situation in a bit. So once you've got that worked out, we're going to start adding some more strumming with the right hand, trying to get all this integrated into actual playing rather than just an exercise. So along with the down, up, down, we're going to add a very simple strumming pattern, which goes like this. 1, 2, 3, down, up, down. Now, that last part, the down, up, down, is when I'm going to make the chord transition like this. Down, 2, 3, down, lift, down. Just like that. Watch that again. Down, 2, 3, down, up, down. Just like that. I can do it backwards too, from A back to E. Down, 2, 3, down, up, down. It's important to practice this in pieces and getting it so that from the beginning to the end there are no mistakes. You're playing it comfortably and cleanly, because the next step is to loop that pattern and keep it happening or occurring without stopping, pausing, restarting, or anything like that. Like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the strumming pattern, the down, 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 up, and then I'm going to repeat that pattern. So I'm going to go from E to A, and then from A back to E, and then I'll stop. So E, 2, 3, down, up, A, 2, 3, down, up, E, like that. If you count this in measures of 4 beats, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, like that. All right, cool. So once you've got the hang of that, then you just continue looping that pattern. As you get more comfortable with this, now this pattern and these chord shapes are designed so that, or put together in a way so that it's simple enough that a person who's almost a complete beginner could play this on the guitar. If you're a little bit more advanced, but you want to keep practicing this technique, start using some slightly more advanced chord shapes. One that I really like to use, I picked this up from the song Ho Hey by the Lumineers. It's another chord transition going from C to F. That's fairly simple. It's a little bit more complicated than from E minor to A add 9, but still doesn't require a whole lot of finger movement. Let's do it. The easy version is, here's my C, and then I'm going to move my third finger and my second finger over one set of strings each, from the A string and the D string to the D string and the G string. Pretty similar, right? The difference is that these fingers are on different frets. That makes it a little bit more challenging. So if I use the same strumming pattern as before, it would sound like this. So we'll do the first one, which is C, then lift, then F. As you can see, I'm leaving my first finger down for this one because it doesn't have to move. Lift, land. And then the inverse of that, which is F to C, down, lift, land. Just like that. Watch that again. Down, up, down, down, up, down. Boom. The next one after that, after C and F, is G and C add 9. This is pretty similar to the song Time of Your Life, Good Riddance by Green Day. So I've got my G chord, right? Here's my pinky and third finger on the 3rd fret of the B and the E string, putting my index finger on the 2nd fret of A, my middle finger on the 3rd fret of E, and my first and second fingers are the only ones moving. So I'm going down, lift, down, down, lift, down. Another easy chord transition. Easy enough that we can practice it and master it and make it sound really good, really clean without a ton of work, right? Not like if we were trying to play, I don't know, like the different inversions of a major 7 chord, you know? That's a different lesson right there. But anyway, G to C add 9, down, up, down, down, up, down, just like that. One more time. I'm gonna do this with the strumming pattern. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. When you're doing this, you're doing a chord, you're playing chords, you're playing transitions between the chords, and you're also strumming a pattern while all of this is happening. You're playing the guitar, right? All the different pieces are in place. The components are fairly simple at this point, but we want to make sure that we're doing it correctly and comfortably. If we're always practicing or always playing it at the kind of the limits of our levels, we don't really get comfortable playing the instrument. It's hard to just settle in and just play naturally if we're always extending ourselves to the limits of what we're capable of. That's a good thing to do some of the time, for sure. But to get that relaxed feel, to sound like you're comfortable when you're playing, takes working on bite-sized chunks of music and assimilating them into your playing rather than taking a huge piece and just working it endlessly, hoping that eventually it will feel comfortable. So that's why start with E minor to A add 9. Maybe you're 90% of the way there and you just need that last 10%. You get to C and F, a little less, but since you worked on that first part, you're pretty familiar with the sequence. It's a little bit easier than if you just started here. And then C, add 9, and G. That's the last step right there. And once you've worked through these three, you could try another chord progression. You might find that's quite easy. Like G to D, that's a nasty one. But if you watch, down, up, down. Notice I left my third finger there. You might see a lot of times people will do something like that, kind of move all their fingers together and then reposition them. Lift, land. Look at that. I was getting my hands in position when I was lifting. Land it, just like that. Well, I hope this was helpful. Please feel free to make any questions or comments down in the comment section you may have for me. Love to hear what you have to say. All right, well, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.